There is a particular kind of power that does not announce itself. It does not arrive in a convoy. It does not wear agbada to press conferences. It does not shake hands in photographs or give speeches at fundraisers. It does not need to. It arrives in a manila envelope. On a Thursday morning, on a motorcycle at the Abuja office of a man who had spent 17 years believing that power was something he owned and was about to learn in the space of reading one handwritten note that it had never been entirely his at all. My name is not important. What is important is that I know the story, all of it, and I have kept quiet long enough. In part 1, we met 3 women. Lola, who never danced at parties because she was always watching. Kate, who smiled at girls like she loved them and did, the way a trap loves what it catches. And Tega, who packed a 22-year-old girl's Bible into a bag, drove away and ate jollof rice for lunch. We watched a senator summon them like they were property. We watched a girl named Amara walk through iron gates on a Friday evening and never come back the same. And we learned that Tega has spent 3 quiet, patient years building something, not a threat, not a bluff, a weapon so complete, so precise, stored in 4 locations that Senator could never find all at once, that when the time comes to use it, it will not feel like an attack. It will feel like the ground disappearing. That time is now. This is the Senator's Ladies Part 2. And if Part 1 was about how the machine was built, Part 2 is about what happens when the machine decides it no longer needs the man who thought he was running it. On Thursday morning, a motorcycle courier delivered a manila envelope to the senator's Abuja office. Inside, a single USB drive, a card handwritten by Lola in her careful, even script. We are partners, not employees. We trust this clarifies the nature of our arrangement. Please adjust accordingly. P.S. The full archive is in 4 locations with release conditions attached to each. You will not be able to find all 4. We have already confirmed this with the appropriate people. The senator received the envelope at 11 a.m. By 3 p.m., Femi had called Lola. The retainer was fully restored, plus 40%. You might think this is where the Trinity wins, where the story tips in their favor and they ride off in matching G-wagons. It is not. A powerful man who concedes is not a defeated man. He is a furious man who has just decided to be more careful. And a furious, careful, powerful man in Nigeria is one of the most dangerous things alive because he has money, which buys people. He has connections, which buys silence. He has history, which has already survived worse than this. He has no conscience, which means there is nothing too far. Senator Otunba made one call that Friday, a private call to a man he had not spoken to in 8 months, a man he had, in fact, spent 8 months actively working against, Senator Musa Haruna, 57 years old, Northern Bloc, the second most powerful man in the Senate, and therefore the senator's most dangerous political rival. They had competed for the same committee chairmanship twice. They had exchanged insults through intermediaries more times than either had kept count of. But politics in Nigeria, as everywhere, had a geometry, and sometimes enemies discover that their interests form a straight line in the same direction. Otunba told Haruna about the Trinity, not everything. He was strategic. He told him enough. That 3 women had accumulated damaging information on him, that they were becoming ungovernable, that they represented a security liability that, if they were not contained, could become a scandal large enough to reshape the balance of power in the Senate. He framed it as a shared problem. He suggested a shared solution. Haruna listened. He asked several careful questions. He said he would think about it. The senator hung up, satisfied. He felt he had moved wisely. He felt he had found a partner. He had absolutely no idea. Because here is what Senator Otunba did not know, could not have known, had no mechanism for knowing. 6 weeks earlier, Lola had been in Abuja for a private dinner, not a public function, a dinner at a residence in Maitama, the quiet part of the city where the real conversations happen. She had been there because she had been invited. She had been invited because over the course of 8 months, she had arranged to be invited through a chain of 3 intermediate introductions that traced back to a woman who had once owed her a favor. Across the table from her was Senator Musa Haruna. She did not come with threats. She did not come with blackmail. She came with something more valuable to a politician. A well-prepared opportunity. She had the evidence. She had the parliamentary votes. She knew where Otunba's money was and where it came from. He knew which committees needed to ask questions. Together, they could take down the most entrenched operator in the Senate, and in doing so, reorganize the landscape in his favor. She slid a single-page document across the table. He read it carefully. He asked 2 questions. She answered both precisely. He picked up his wine glass. I assume this arrangement comes with continued usefulness on both sides? Of course, Lola said. I only deal in partnerships. They shook hands. So when the senator, proud and furious and strategic, called Haruna to propose a collaboration against the Trinity, he was calling a man who had already shaken Lola's hand. He was running to his salvation. He was running into her net. The thing about Lola that people consistently underestimated was this. She never won a confrontation by entering it. She won by being already on the other side of it, waiting when her opponent arrived. The senator was a man who had held power for 17 years. He had survived scandals, investigations, betrayals, 3 attempts on his life, and 1 kidnapping of a family member. He had never been outmaneuvered by a woman who hadn't raised her voice once until now. The party had been planned for 3 months. A birthday celebration. Not the senators, not Lola's, not anyone with a last name you need to know. A Lagos socialite, the daughter of an oil industry figure, was turning 30 in the specific way that Lagos money celebrates 30, not in Lagos. The venue was a rented villa in Dubai. 3 floors, 6 bedrooms, a pool that reflected the city lights like something from a dream sequence. 200 guests were flown in from Lagos, London, Houston, Accra. 3 musical acts performed over the course of the night. The catering alone cost more money than the annual budget of a public secondary school. This is the world these people live in. This is not an exaggeration. This is Tuesday for them. Or, in this case, Saturday. The Trinity arrived together and separated immediately on entering. A habit. Lola in a column dress the color of midnight, minimal jewelry, everything deliberate. Kate in something architectural and gold, camera already out, already building content. Tega in deep green, already on her phone, already handling something invisible to everyone else in the room. Senator Otunba was already there when they arrived. He was standing near the bar with 2 other men holding a glass and laughing at something. But the laugh had a delay to it, like a translation, like his face was performing joy slightly after his brain had ordered it. Lola clocked this from across the room. His hands were in motion, even while standing still. His aide, the new one she hadn't recognized, was stationed close to his shoulder, whispering at intervals that were too frequent. Something was wrong with the senator's composure, in the way that wrong with composure means right before something breaks. In rooms like that one, Rooms full of money and beautiful clothes and music that cost more than most people's rent. War is invisible. That is the point of rooms like that. Nobody raises a voice. Nobody draws a weapon. Everything that matters happens in the negative space between words. A glance held a half second too long. A toast that includes everyone except one person. A hand placed on an arm that means something specific. A phone checked at a moment that is not coincidental. You would watch this party and see celebration. The people in it were watching a battlefield. Lola knew before she boarded the airplane from Lagos that the senator had hired someone. Baba Abba had called 4 days before the party. He did not say the words explicitly. He never did. But what he told her in the language of suggestion and symbol that she had learned to translate over the years was this. There was a man, he was traveling. His job had a specific completion condition. 3 women, a body of water, an arrangement that looked like an accident. Baba saw things across water, he had always said. She had spent 3 years deciding whether or not to believe him. By now, she had enough evidence to believe him completely. She told Kate and Tega. Kate, who was already booked to perform at the party as a surprise guest, said, very quietly, without any drama, "So we are walking into it." "No," Lola said. "We are walking through it. There's a difference." She told them what to do and when and what not to do. She told them that by the time the night ended, they will either be free or they will be dead, and she intended for them to be free. "And if we are not?" Tega asked. Lola looked at her. "Then the package opens, and it doesn't matter where we are." Tega was quiet for a moment. "Fair enough," she said. They packed their bags for Dubai. It was 10:47 p.m. The party was at its peak, the particular peak that happens when enough people have had enough champagne that the social performance has partially dissolved and something more genuine and therefore more messy has taken its place. The music was loud, the pool was occupied, laughter was real. The senator has excused himself from the bar group twice in the last hour. He kept checking his phone. The aide kept whispering. Lola, watching all this from a velvet chair in the corner of the main terrace, nursing a glass of water, saying almost nothing. At 10:47 p.m., she sent a message, one word, to a contact not stored under any real name. The message read, "Now." And then 3 things happened simultaneously across different cities, in the kind of coordination that takes not weeks but months to build, the kind of coordination that looks from the outside like coincidence but is in fact the opposite of coincidence. Senator Haruna Musa called a press conference at 10:50 p.m., which is late for a press conference and therefore newsworthy in itself. The room in Abuja was set up carefully. 6 journalists, a prepared statement and a folder of documents that had been reproduced in sufficient copies. Haruna did not read from notes. He spoke for 12 minutes in a measured voice about the systematic diversion of constitutional allowances, funds designated for constituency development, for infrastructure, for the people who had elected the senator of a southwest constituency to represent them. He named dates. He named projects that existed on paper and nowhere else. He named 2 properties registered in the names of proxies purchased in Banana Island, Lagos, at prices inconsistent with any legitimate source of the senator's declared income. He named Senator Otunba directly. The documents he distributed were Tega's documents. Every transfer, every false ledger entry, every shell company in a chain that led eventually with patience and the right eyes back to one man. By 11:05 p.m., the press conference was live on 3 news channels. By 11:15 p.m., it was everywhere. That was the first movement. Then the second movement 2 journalists published simultaneously, one in Lagos. An investigative reporter who had been sitting on this story for 3 months, waiting for the right moment, the right additional evidence, and a guarantee that she will not simply vanish after publishing. She had received all 3. One in London, a Nigerian British journalist with a column in a publication that Otunba's lawyers could not easily reach. One published a detailed amount of the ranch and what it was, carefully, legally, precisely, not everything, not the most graphic material, enough to change the nature of the public's understanding of what kind of man they were reading about. Video clips accompanied the London piece, strategic, edited with the care of someone who understood that the goal was not maximum exposure, but maximum damage. And those are different things. The clips showed financial transactions being discussed. They showed certain conversations. They showed obliquely but unmistakably the outline of what happened at that ranch. By 11:20 p.m., Senator Otunba's name was trending in Nigeria. By 11:30 p.m., it was trending in London. By midnight, his party has put out a statement saying he was aware of the allegations and would respond fully through the appropriate channels. He had not been reached for comment. He was in Dubai. At 10:53 p.m., Senator Otunba's phone began ringing. The first call was from his party chairman. He sent it to voicemail. The second was from his lawyer. He answered that one, walking quickly away from the group he had been standing with toward the bar end of the villa's main terrace. He held the phone to his ear. His face, as the lawyer spoke, went through a sequence of expressions that could be charted: skepticism, disbelief, recognition, horror. He ended the call, stood at the railing, looking out at the water below, the gulf beyond the marina, dark and enormous. The phone rang again and again and again. He turned his face down on the railing. She came from behind him, not dramatically. She didn't need drama. She simply walked across the terrace and stood beside him at the railing and looked out at the same water he was looking at, same angles, same stillness. He heard her heels and turned and saw who it was, and something moved across his face that was more complicated than anger. It was recognition, the specific recognition of a man who has just understood simultaneously that he has lost and that the person standing beside him is the reason. He said nothing. His jaw was working. Lola looked out at the water. She said without looking at him, "You should go home, Senator. I hear Abuja is very noisy tonight." A pause. He tried to find something to say. He was not, in that moment, a man who had held a Senate seat for 3 terms. He was a man who had been completely taken apart and was standing in the wreckage trying to find a face he recognized. He started, stopped. "You don't understand what you've..." "Go home," Lola said, simply, without menace, which is its own kind of menace. "And stay home. Your cleaner has already been explained the situation. He left an hour ago." She turned to look at him. Then, for the first time in the conversation, she looked at him directly, and she saw it. What Baba Abba had warned her about. Not a metaphor, not a figure of speech, something she saw in the senator's eye or behind them, a quality of light that was wrong, a depth that was receding, the thread that Baba had described, the thing that had connected the senator to his power, his certainty, his invulnerability. She could see somehow that it was fraying. He was older, standing there, than he had looked 3 hours ago at the bar. The lines in his face were deeper. His eyes were having difficulty focusing, not on her specifically, on everything, like he was looking through a lens that was slowly losing clarity. What happened next has been described by 3 witnesses who were on the terrace that night, none of whom knew each other, all of whom gave accounts that were remarkably consistent. The senator turned and walked back inside. He was moving quickly, but not in the direction of the exit. He was looking for his aide, who, as Lola had said, was no longer there. He was looking for his phone, which he had left face down on the railing. He went back for it. He walked inside again. He walked into the wrong room twice. He stopped in the middle of the main floor and looked around with the expression of a man who has just forgotten not a word or a name, but something more fundamental: who he is and why he is in this room and what the room is. He found the bathroom. He went inside. He locked the room. 3 guests who were nearby reported hearing sounds from inside the bathroom. Initially, the sound of water running, then silence, then sounds that they described variously as shouting, a kind of crying, and one woman who had been standing closest to the door, a voice that didn't sound like a voice exactly, like something trying to make the shapes of words without knowing what words were. Security was called. The door was opened. The senator was on the floor. His suit was ruined. His back was against the wall. His phone was shattered beside him. He had thrown it or dropped it, or something had made it fall. His eyes were open and conscious, but focused on absolutely nothing. He was speaking, but not in any language that the 3 people who entered the room, his aide, a security man, and a doctor who happened to be a guest, could identify. It was not Yoruba, which he spoke. It was not English, which he also spoke. It was something that had the rhythm of language without its architecture. He was flown back to Nigeria the following morning on a medical charter, attended by a doctor and 2 nurses. He was admitted to a private clinic in Victoria Island, not the kind that appears in medical directories. 2 weeks later, his office released a statement citing health concerns, effective immediate. He was resigning his Senate seat. He was never coherent in public again. I told you at the beginning, some people in this story were more guilty than others, but nobody in this story was innocent. Not the senator who built an empire on the suffering of girls he treated as fuel. Not the Trinity who ran the machine that fed him. And not, and this is the part that is hardest to sit with, not the system that made all of it possible. The culture of silence, the structures that decided whose disappearance matters and whose does not. The world that looked at Lola and Kate and Tega and only ever asked how they could become what those women appeared to be. Nobody went to the ranch and came back a hero. But they all came back, except Amara. The Trinity flew home to Lagos on a Tuesday. No celebration, no toast on the plane. They slept mostly. They were tired in the bone-deep way that comes not from physical exertion, but from sustained alertness, the kind you carry when you know the ground might shift under you. Now the ground had settled. Now there was sleep. They landed at Murtala Muhammed Airport and walked through arrivals in sunglasses and silence and took separate cars to the penthouse. And then they went to work. Because the work did not stop. The work never stops. Within 6 weeks, with the help of the London law firm and 2 transactions that Tega executed with the precision she brought to everything, the Banana Island properties were transferred into the names of 3 separate holding companies. By the time the investigation into Otunba's finances were officially opened by the EFCC, the investigation prompted, of course, by the evidence Haruna had provided, which had come from Tega, the paper trail ended at a wall that took very skilled accountants a very long time to find and even longer to climb. They did not climb it. The statute ran out. Kate bought an apartment in Lekki Phase 1, title deed in her own name. For the first time in her adult life, she stood in the empty apartment on the day she got the keys and looked at the view of the water, and she thought about Amara. She thought about that apartment in Surulere, the Bible with the name written inside, the graduation photograph. She did not cry. She had cried once privately in a hotel bathroom in Dubai, silently, the night after it all ended. That was the last time. She went to the estate agent's office and signed 3 more documents and posted a reel the next day. New chapter loading, and 61,000 people pressed the hard button. Tega installed a new lock on the archive room. Then she moved the archive to a more permanent location, a server arrangement in the Netherlands that required 3 separate authentications to access and was maintained by a man in Amsterdam she had never met in person. She did not need to meet him in person. Everything important in Tega's life happened at a careful distance. She still sometimes woke at 3 a.m. She no longer heard humming. She was not entirely sure this was better. Senator Musa Haruna won the by-election for Senate President 7 months after Otunba's resignation. On the day the results were announced, a bouquet of white lilies arrived at the penthouse. No card. The stems were wrapped in green ribbon. Haruna's party color, Lola put them in a vase in the living room. So begins a new arrangement, she said, to no one in particular. Same game, better terms. She stood at the window and looked at the city. Lagos in the late afternoon, gold light on the water, the permanent low roar of a city of 20 million people, all wanting something. She had grown up in this city. She had learned its grammar, its unwritten rules, its 10,000 ways of surviving, and its 100 ways of winning. She had made herself useful to powerful men. She had made herself dangerous to the same powerful men. She had watched one of them fall and stepped over the wreckage without breaking stride. She was 34 years old. She was not done. 3 months later, a lounge in Victoria Island, not the rooftop from the beginning of our story, a different one, ground floor, softer lighting, a Wednesday evening crowd that was elegant and aspirational and spending more than it should, Afro beats at a respectful volume, champagne that cost what it cost, the home of people who are performing their best lives for each other and for the cameras. Lola was at the corner table. She was always at the corner table. She was looking at something on her phone, unhurried. When she became aware of something approaching, she looked up. A young woman, maybe 21, maybe 22. She was wearing a dress that was doing a lot of work. The right shape, but the wrong brand. The right heels, but the wrong posture in them. You could see in her everything that Kate had been 5 years ago, and everything that Kate had looked for in Amara. Ambition untampered by experience, beauty unaware of its market value, hunger wearing its Sunday best. She stopped in front of the table. She had the expression of someone who had practiced what they were about to say and was now second-guessing all of it. "I am so sorry to interrupt," she said. "I know you probably get this all the time. I follow you on Instagram. I've been following you for like 2 years. You are Lola, right?" Lola put her phone face down on the table. "I am," she said. The girl's hands moved. "I am. I really admire how you've built your life, everything you have, everything you've become. And I know this is so random. I am sorry, but I've been trying to figure out how to..." She stopped, steadied herself, made her voice strong. "How do you do it? How do you become a big girl in Lagos?" Silence. Lola looked at her, the way she always looked, seeing positions, not people, asset or liability, useful or not. The calculation that happened so fast it was almost involuntarily by now, almost instinct, almost natural as breathing. The girl looked back, hopeful, hungry, unguarded. Lola smiled. It was a beautiful smile, the kind that made people feel chosen. "Sit down," she said. "Let me buy you a drink." The girl sat, and just like that, the story began again. 3 women, 1 senator, a machine built on glamour and secrets, and something that existed in the space where human ambition meets human darkness. The senator lost his mind, whether that was justice or consequence, or simply the weight of what he had built collapsing onto him. I leave that to you. The Trinity did not lose. They reorganized, they upgraded, they moved as they had always moved, without sentiment, without pause, toward the next arrangement. The girls in the ranch, Amara, Chisom, Blessing, and the ones we never named, the ones before them and possibly after. They are the footnotes. They are the cost. They are what the machine ran on, and the machine never mourned its fuel. That is the real horror of this story. Not the rituals, not the blackmail, not the screaming in the bathroom of a villa in Dubai. The real horror is how ordinary it all was. Underneath the designer clothes and the private jets and the supernatural arrangements, a powerful man who wanted more than power, women who understood how to give it to him and extract the prize, a city that rewarded the result and asked no questions about the method. And tonight, right now, while you watch this, somewhere in Lagos, there is a girl sending a voice note, shaking voice at the beginning, steadying by the end, saying, "I know I have what it takes. I just need someone to show me the door." And somewhere, a woman is listening to it twice and sending one word, "perfect." This has been the Senator's Lady. If this story made you feel something, if it made you uncomfortable or angry or unsettled in the particular way that truth unsettles, share it. Let other people feel it too. And if you ever find yourself at a brunch being told you're gorgeous by a woman you just met online, and the mocktails are flowing and everything is beautiful and there's a car waiting outside, trust what's speaking inside your chest before you give anyone your phone. Remember, you are listening to Akotels, where every story leaves a mark.